Good morning, good evening, or good night, depending on when you are watching this. So, this is a screencast that's going to cover Mr. Whalen's lesson plans. So, let's take a look right at the top. We got three things of interest: access to Google Translate, a free speech to text converter, and a connection to a website that will let you speak and it will type words. That's called dictation. As we scroll down, we see the standards that are relevant to this lesson plan. We have the statement of inquiries and objectives. These are the things that you're supposed to have learned or the tasks that you're meant to accomplish by the time the lesson concludes. The next heading, synchronous learning activities. Those are things that we are doing at the same time. This could be face to face, like when we meet every day, or if we're meeting online at the same time, that is an example of a synchronous learning activity time. The first thing in every lesson is the warm up. When you look at this heading, the introductory activity, it's important that you follow all the steps that appear immediately below that heading. The first thing that you'll do at the top of every warm up is to make a copy of your lesson response template. And you can see the preview for that right here. Inside the lesson response template, there's a heading for every part of the lesson that you will be getting a grade for. So we look at the directions, we follow them, and then we scroll down to the next part of the lesson. If you get done early, you should preview the next part, and if you can, work ahead. If it requires that you work with another student, you may have to wait for the rest of the class to catch up. But you can always look ahead in the lesson plan and see what you can get done while you're waiting for other students to get to where you are in the lesson. The next part of the lesson is the teacher-led activity. This is when the teacher is the sage on the stage. The rest of the time, he should be the guide on the side. So you follow the instructions for the teacher-led activity, and when you're done with that, you preview the next part of the lesson. The teacher-monitored activity is the next heading. Follow the instructions, put your responses inside the lesson response template, and then proceed. The next part of the lesson is the student-led activity. All the instructions are right here. The next part of the lesson is the assessment. The instructions are here. Then the next heading is closing. This is when we reflect on what we learned and think about how it could be useful for us. Now, another heading appears, asynchronous learning activities. Those are learning activities that are associated with the lesson that we don't do together, either face-to-face or learning online. For this lesson, there is no homework assignment. Underneath the homework assignment, there's an option for a reteaching or a review activity. If you're not sure about something that you were supposed to learn in the lesson, you can always take a look at the reteach activity to take another look at something that you may have needed to learn in the lesson but felt like you missed. Underneath that, there's another heading for student constructive responses. Anytime you write something, you should be considering these evaluation criteria because this is what is on your test at the end of 8th grade. And then down below that, the last heading is the lesson plan rubric. This explains how many points you'll get for each part of the lesson. 2 points for the warm-up, 1 for the teacher-led activity, 2 for the teacher-monitored activity, 3 for the student-led activity. These first 4 sections of the lesson plan constitute about 51% of the grade. The assessment carries the most points, 7 points. If you get the first 5 things done, you could get up to an 89% for the lesson. But in order to get an A, you have to complete the reflection piece. I hope you enjoyed this overview of Mr. Whalen's lesson plans and that this tutorial helps you to be successful. Remember, once again, all of the instructions that are in a lesson plan, your responses, unless otherwise directed, should be documented, typed under the respective headings of the lesson in your lesson response template. Thank you.